and welcome back to the PhatPhish Guitar Studio. I'm Dave, and in this video I'm going to be following up a question that I was sent by Tim. Now, Tim watched the video that I did about the Yamaha THR5A acoustic guitar amplifier. I'll put a link to that in the information section down there. And after he'd seen that video, he went here, where you can send me questions, and he sent me this. Just watch a very useful video on the Yamaha THR5A. I'm a jazz guitarist and I'm looking at the amp for home and small studio rehearsal use. I usually play a Gibson ES135 or an Ibanez Artist. I currently use the DV Mark DV Jazz 12, but it's a little dry. Have you tried the Yamaha with a Gibson like mine? If so, what's your verdict? Okay, now I haven't tried it specifically with an ES135 or with an Ibanez Artist. I don't have either of those guitars, but I started thinking about what guitars have I got, because I've got quite a few in the studio, as you can see. Thinking about what guitars I could use to kind of try this out, and it just got me on the line of thinking about talking about the difference between electric guitar amplifiers and acoustic guitar amplifiers, because they are slightly different beasts. An acoustic guitar amplifier differs, I think, primarily from an electric guitar amplifier in terms of like the frequency range that it supports. An electric guitar amplifier actually, well, it's not so much the amplifier, it's the speakers. The amplifier will produce quite a full range of frequencies, but the speakers are voiced in such a way that you lose a little bit of top end. It sounds like it might be a bad thing, but it's actually good for the way that the guitars work, particularly when you get an overdriven tone that's got a lot of high harmonics. And I thought I'll show you the Yamaha THR5A because it's got a mode on it where you can make it behave like more like an electric guitar amplifier than an acoustic guitar amplifier. So if you saw the video that I did originally, I used an acoustic guitar. And at the end, I just messed around a little bit with the electric setting. But this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the sort of differences in sounds using the amplifier with different types of electric guitar. And I'm going to start with this one. It's my Fender Custom Shop Strat. Custom Shop 1950s pickups, and it's a quite vintage output, but this typical Strat pickups, they're quite bright, quite a glassy sort of sound. So the amplifier at the minute is set up, as I say, in the electric guitar style. Not much in the way of effects. All I've got is a touch of compression on the amp and some reverb, and it sounds like this. Yeah, that's a pleasant enough sound. Now if I tweak the amp controls and set it now, so this is actually working as an acoustic guitar amplifier, so it's expecting input from like a little piezo pickup or preamp or something like that, and it's voiced a little bit more top end to it, and consequently it sounds like this. Yeah, different sort of sound, but to be honest, not that unpleasant. So Tim, in your use case where you could be using a guitar for purely a clean sound, because I'm imagining from the type of guitars you're using, you're more like the traditional Wes Montgomery, George Benson style of jazz, that this is probably going to be possibly a useful option for you. Obviously I'm using a Strat. I'm going to move on to a couple of other guitars as well to give you an idea of how they sound, but I want to talk a little bit about overdrive, because this is where the difference between an electric guitar amplifier and an acoustic guitar amplifier really make themselves known. And what happens with a distortion pedal or an overdrive pedal, anything like that, it starts to introduce a lot more like upper harmonics, like up the top end of the frequency spectrum, the sort of frequencies that like an electric guitar amplifier would typically sort of attenuate. So setting this to the electric guitar sort of setting and stepping on full tone plimsoll, which is a fairly high gain overdrive pedal, and with a Strat it sounds like this. Yeah, it's not unpleasant. It's, considering we're using an acoustic guitar amplifier, it's a usable sort of tone. But if I switch the amplifier to work as an acoustic guitar amplifier, it sounds like this. Yeah, that's not so pleasing. It's a little bit fizzy, a lot more top end to it, particularly if I go set out to the bridge pickup. It's not a tone that I would particularly want coming out of my speakers. And there's a reason for that. The amplifier working as an acoustic amp, it's voiced for acoustic guitar. It's not voiced for distortion, so it's allowing through a lot more of that top end harmonics, and that's why it gets fizzy, gets all a little bit wasp trapped in a jam jar sort of sound. Reminds me a little bit of when I teach people who are just starting out and they've got their first distortion pedal and everything's dimed, so you've got lots of drive, but you've got the tone, tend to turn the tone up as well, so it just brings out the upper harmonics and it sounds a little bit rubbish. You need to kind of tame things a little bit. So that sounds a little bit poor, but it's not a reflection on the amplifier. I'm using it as an acoustic guitar amplifier with electric guitar and overdrive pedals. It's not what it's intended to be used for. So that's kind of where the difference really makes itself more noticeable, is with an overdrive pedal. Anyway, that's with the Strat. Tim was asking me about ES135s and Ibanez Artist. I haven't got either of those guitars, but I've got a couple of things that might serve as a useful sort of analog. So let's move on to this. So we're back with this. It's my 1974 Gibson SG. It's got replacement pickups. It's got a pair of Seymour Duncan Antiquities, which are very good PAF style pickups. So Tim, probably a bit closer to what you might expect in terms of sound from your Gibson ES135 or something like an Ibanez Artist. Moderate output. They're not particularly hot pickup. So let's see how this sounds. Got the amp set for like the electric setting, and just on a clean sound. Again, just a little bit of compression and a little bit of reverb. Quite a pleasing sound. As I said, these are really, really nice sounding pickups. Let's turn the amp to an acoustic setting and hear how it sounds with the humbuckers. Yeah, not bad. So the frequency range that you're hearing is a little bit different, but I guess if you're into jazz, if you're going like neck pickup sort of sound, not a bad sound at all. Just for the heck of it, let's try it with a little bit of overdrive. Back to the electric setting, stand on the overdrive pedal and give it a go. That's not bad for an acoustic guitar amplifier. It's a decent sort of sound, but set it as an acoustic amplifier in its own right, rather than just emulating an electric guitar amplifier. Yes, as you can hear, again, when it's set as an acoustic sound with a full frequency response, you're getting too much top end, it's getting fizzy, it's getting a bit undefined, generally not particularly pleasing. But that's not the way the amplifier is intended to be used, so don't take this as a criticism. That's set as an acoustic guitar amplifier trying to play over a driven electric guitar. That's not what it's intended for. You can put it on the electric setting and you get a usable sound out of it. Remember, what we are playing here is an amplifier that was designed for an acoustic guitar. Right, we've heard Strat, fairly classic Strat sort of sounds, and we've heard fairly classic Gibson SG sort of sounds with these PAF style Seymour Duncan Antiquities. One other guitar I thought would have a go with, and it's this one. This guitar is the Epiphone Wildcat. A little bit of a surprise packet for me, actually. I got this one out of curiosity. It's not a super expensive guitar. Needed a little bit of fettling done on it, but it actually ended up as being a very usable guitar that spent a lot longer with me than I thought it would. I'm including this one because, as you can see, it's got the semi-acoustic center block style construction. So not a million miles away from something like an Ibanez Artist or an ES135. Actually, is an ES135 center block or not? Either way, this is the closest I've got to something like that. It's the semi-acoustic construction with the F-holes. Different style pickups as well. These are P90 style pickups. I've heard people criticizing this particular guitar for P90 pickups not being particularly P90-ish. They are what they are. We'll hear just how it sounds with the amplifier on different sorts of settings. So we're clean. We've got it set for the electric guitar sort of setting. And it sounds like this. Yeah, not bad on the electric setting. Set the amp as a full-blown acoustic amp. And it sounds like this. Yeah, that's not bad. I think, again, neck pickup on its own could be quite pleasing for jazz. Yeah, it's not too bad. Just for the heck of it, again, we'll go to the electric setting with a little bit of overdrive. That sounds like this. Not too bad. Again, that is emulating an electric guitar amplifier. Set it as an acoustic amp, and it starts to get a little bit more fizzy and raucous. Yeah, we're into the same territory. It's a familiar story. Set it as an acoustic amp, put any sort of overdrive into it, those top-end harmonics, the frequencies that we're hearing will lose the definition, it starts to get fizzy, it starts to get a little bit harsh and unpleasant. So the takeaway I think here is if you're using this with an electric guitar in a clean context, it's very, very usable, not just on the electric guitar setting, but with some of the acoustic settings. I was always using it set as if it was emulating a dynamic microphone in use with an acoustic guitar, but it's got some other microphone emulations which are explained in more detail in the full review that I did of the amplifier. But basically that's just to give you an idea of how it sounds with some different electric guitars, a Strat, an SG with PAF style pickups, and this Epiphone Wildcat with P90s, using it as an acoustic guitar amplifier as well, and the sort of sounds you can get out of it. And Tim, hopefully that gave you some insights and possibly encourage you to take a further look at this to possibly suit your needs for your replacement for your DV Mark. Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please click like if you really enjoyed it and you want to see other videos that I post on the channel, and please click subscribe and click on the little bell to get the notifications. If, like Tim, you've got a question, whether it's about guitar gear, if it's about guitar playing, music theory, anything at all, go here, fill that form in, send your question in. I'm guaranteed to see it and get around to answering your question in a future video. You're welcome to leave a comment, but I don't always see comments that are left on videos, so that form is a better way of getting in touch with me. Okay, thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.